In an age where superhero movies are more popular than ever before, it's little surprise that actors are constantly undergoing insane physical transformations to more closely resemble larger-than-life heroes and villains. But while these transformations can make for great stories, they're not always what you think. Sometimes the actors in question did most of the hard work for another role entirely. Though all 7 of these remarkable transformations are undeniably stunning, the actors actually undertook the bulk of the work for a different movie, and whether by coincidence or design, managed to neatly dovetail all that effort into whatever they were shooting next. And if I likes one thing, it's efficiency. I'm Gareth from WhatCulture.com, and here are 7 actors who went through incredible body transformations, but not for the movie you think. Number 7, Tom Hardy. Warrior, not The Dark Knight Rises. Tom Hardy is no stranger to physical transformations, though none to date have turned quite as many heads as his considerable gain in mass did to play the villainous Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, with reports suggesting that he gained as much as 50 pounds to resemble the famously bulky comic book antagonist. Except Hardy had already done the vast majority of the heavy lifting, quite literally, for his previous MMA drama Warrior. For the film, which was shot shortly before The Dark Knight Rises, Hardy gained almost 30 pounds of muscle during an intense pre-production training regimen, and so Hardy's task for Bane was relatively simple: build fat on top of the existing muscle, which was largely a result of diet as opposed to weight training. Warrior built the physical foundation for Bane, allowing Hardy to more or less eat his way to cutting the stocky figure required for the iconic supervillain. Imagine being paid to eat yourself into a role.
That pizza will be extremely delicious from here.
Number 6, Chris Pratt. Moneyball, not Guardians of the Galaxy. Jaws were collectively dropped when the first trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy was released. Not merely because it featured a talking raccoon and an anthropomorphic tree, but because star Chris Pratt looked uncharacteristically jacked. The trailer's memorable money shot showed off a shirtless Peter Quill in all of his buff glory. And while most fans assumed he got into shape purely to play the Marvel superhero, that's actually not quite the case. Parks and Recreation fans will be well aware that, for the show's first few seasons, Pratt's adorable goofball Andy Dwyer was rather on the pudgy side, which is what the role required in fairness. But that all changed when he desperately sought out the role of first baseman Scott Hatterberg in 2011 sports drama Moneyball. After initially being rejected due to his weight, Pratt hit the gym and lost 30 pounds, resulting in his decidedly trimmer cut for the movie, even if it didn't require any shirtless scenes. Though Pratt did regain a larger build for roles in between Moneyball and Guardians of the Galaxy, namely for the 5-year engagement and Zero Dark 30, the Oscar-nominated sports drama set the healthier, more athletic build which Pratt has largely maintained ever since. Furthermore, without first slimming down for Moneyball, it's unlikely Marvel Studios would have even given him an audition for Star-Lord, and we would have been deprived of one of the greatest Walkman scenes in movie history. Number 5, Henry Cavill, Immortals, not Man of Steel. Much like Tom Hardy, Henry Cavill seemingly went to extreme measures to give himself the bodacious physique befitting a larger-than-life comic book character. In this case, the Man of Steel himself, Superman. There's no questioning that Cavill's hulking stature was a far cry from his more modest prior figure, that is to say, looking like a totally regular but insanely handsome guy. Damn him. Except Cavill had a major leg up, given that immediately prior to starting his training regimen for Man of Steel, Cavill had completed shooting the 2011 fantasy epic Immortals, which required Cavill to look like, well, the mythically shredded Greek warrior Theseus. Though Cavill clearly gained extra mass to better resemble a literal demigod in Man of Steel, Cavill's intensely committed transformation for Immortals ensured that the most arduous part of the process was already done. Theseus, Superman, The Witcher, geez Cavill, why don't you test yourself by playing someone who isn't an absolute beast? Don't tell him that I said that. Number 4, Matthew McConaughey, Mud, not Magic Mike. It's no secret that Matthew McConaughey had a reputation earlier in his career for appearing shirtless in his movies, with works of cinema such as Sahara, Fool's Gold, and Surfer Dude, including his washboard abs as a major selling point. And don't you tell me you bought a ticket for any other reason, because I see straight through your lies. But around a decade ago, the actor decided to exercise a little more modesty for a brief spell, as he appeared in a string of movies where he sported a decidedly leaner, more wiry physique, which was generally also covered up, namely the Lincoln Lawyer, Bernie, Killer Joe, and the Paperboy. And so his fans were overjoyed when 2012's Magic Mike appeared to herald the re-emergence of McConaughey's impeccable shirtless physique. with more headlines devoted to the physical conditioning of the actor and his co-stars than the film's surprisingly engrossing narrative. But McConaughey had already gotten back into shape to play the often shirtless drifter protagonist of Jeff Nichols' indie drama Mud, which the actor shot literally weeks before Magic Mike, effectively allowing the 1 feat of body sculpting to play across both movies. Genius. Chiseled genius. Number 3, J.K. Simmons' father figures not Justice League. This one is quite amusing. Remember when J.K. Simmons shocked the world by posting an image to social media in mid-2016 where he looked nothing short of absolutely ripped? Everyone quite understandably assumed that Simmons was getting into shape to play Commissioner Jim, and that's Jim with a G, Gordon in Justice League, despite Gordon traditionally not really being a particularly muscular character, nor one who ever really showed off his guns. Not those ones anyway. Simmons eventually cleared the air and confirmed that the picture was actually taken a few months prior, and that he had been taking steps to improve his fitness for a good while. It all makes sense then, when you consider that Simmons shot a role in the dud comedy Father Figures several months before Justice League, where he spent his entire time on screen wearing a vest top which showed off his well-toned arms. Due to extensive delays and reshoots, however, Father Figures was ultimately released in December 2017, a month after Justice League itself hit cinemas. Given that Simmons has been, by his own admission, out of shape for most of his career, he's certainly been looking a lot less doughy for the last few years. Good for you, Simmons. Number 2, Chris Evans, the losers, not Captain America the First Avenger. Though Chris Evans has never been a skinny Steve, up until about a decade ago, his figure was decidedly less enviable, which made his transformation to play Captain America himself, Steve Rogers, all the more startling. And while Evans appears to have basically maintained that impressive bod across his entire MCU tenure, he actually first transformed himself for a different comic book movie entirely. Don't feel bad if you don't remember 2010's The Losers. An indifferently received comic book adaptation, which nevertheless showed off an unexpectedly muscled Evans in the role of Captain Jake Jensen, to the precious few people who actually bothered to see it. Though Evans added a little more muscle on top before Captain America started shooting, his physique in The Losers would have certainly been sufficient to convince as the superhero. But with several months between the two projects, the actor had ample time to take his already bulking frame just that little bit further. And oh boy, did he set the bar for himself and everyone else in the MCU going forward. Number 1, Zac Efron, Neighbours, not Baywatch. You needn't be a fan of High School Musical or 17 again to know that, as a young man, Zac Efron was a naturally slender guy who cut the furthest thing imaginable from an Adonis-tier physique. But Efron blew up on social media over his eye-popping transformation for 2017's Baywatch, where the actor looks so vascular and sculpted he even gave his man-mounting co-star Dwayne Johnson a run for his money. The attention Efron received for his role in the film was intense enough to suggest that many forgot he began his muscle-bound journey several years prior. Efron actually debuted his chunky new look in 2014's hit comedy Neighbours, and subsequently put his statuesque figure to good use in the likes of Dirty Grandpa and Neighbours 2, Sorority Rising, before even shooting Baywatch. Comparing Efron's physique in Neighbours and Baywatch, there's really not much difference at all, and his more veinous look in Baywatch is largely a result of flushing, that is, dehydrating himself for 12 hours before shooting to ensure maximum visible definition. That does not sound pleasant, though even Efron himself admitted that the size he reached for Baywatch was unrealistic. If he just fed the guy a jug of water or two, he'd more or less look like his less terrifying Neighbours character, which is still pretty shredded, so I'm still pretty jealous. And that's our list. Know of any other actors who went through incredible body transformations but not for the movie, you think? Let us know all about them in the comment section below, and do not forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button, and please ring the bell while you're there too. Also, why not head on over to WhatCulture.com and click on more incredible articles just like this bad boy. I've been Gareth from WhatCulture.com, thank you very much for watching, and I'm sure I'll see your face soon.